Welcome. In this session, we will do a quick summary of Yojana March edition. Now, in this edition, the basic idea was economic development in India, specifically in the fronts of infrastructure and the idea of Viksit Bharat 2047. Now, under this, we started with the economic reforms 1991 with LPG policies, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, paying due focus onto the key sectors which were manufacturing, energy security, and bringing in collaboration between private and government sectors with competitive business environment, and bringing in acceleration for infrastructure as one of the key goals. Now, for our idea of Viksit Bharat 2047, the long term goal aims at creating jobs which are in the non farm sector annually until 2036, and that is around millions of jobs to be created with an idea of achieving full literacy by 2036. This would actually boost the manufacturing sector, build in strong sustainable energy solutions, and a collaboration between the various sectors would be required for the same. Also, in the recent budget, there has been a boost for small modular reactors based on nuclear power, and India is targeting to build at least 5 indigenously developed small modular reactors by 2033. Deregulation has been a vital idea since our 1991 liberalization policies, which aims to end the license raj, bring in more investments, and attract foreign companies in India. In the last few years, we have witnessed simplifying the compliance rule. Nearly 20,000 compliance rules have been simplified. Nearly 300 laws have been decriminalized. So that's a big way forward to boost industries and factories in India. And also with the GST reforms, the insolvency and bankruptcy code, the RERA and the forest regulation changes have been some of the major reforms in the field of tax and finance. Also, initiatives which aim to develop the fintech industries, which is mainly the UPI and the direct benefit transfer, has reduce the leakages, inefficiencies which are which were prevalent into the systems. Right now, manufacturing is one of the major ideas. If we talk about the ancient time, during the Chola Empire, during the Gupta Empire, the European powers, all of these, the British Empire in India, all of this prospered because of a strong manufacturing foundation. In the recent times, we have seen that there has been significant improvement in the living standards, employment, even in the countries of East Asia, specifically targeting to nations like Vietnam, where manufacturing has been developed in a significant way. Also, China has benefited with a trend accounting for 45% of the global manufacturing worldwide by 2030, and this would be a sharp increase from nearly 6% which was there in 2000. So manufacturing to be one of the key fronts, and three reasons behind it. One is to have better interconnected linkages. Second is to drive skill development at the company level. Specifically, the low income economies can actually have a large scale initiatives for education and bring in simultaneous development for literate population as well, and infrastructure improvements along with relaxing the regulatory requirements. So these could be some of the key areas to bring in manufacturing. Now, to support manufacturing, small, medium, and micro industries have been some of the major focus centers, and the idea to reduce dependence on imports and boost the domestic production. So Make in India is one such effort we have been focusing around. Now, if we talk about manufacturing efficiency with port turnaround time, it's halving between 2014 to 2024, with major global ports in US, Australia, and Singapore performing at the best. Now, if we focus on to the central government expenditure budget, we will see that there is a significant budget which goes to transport and defense, and then there are certain amount of budgetary allowances for rural development, less than that for urban development. However, the population in the urban development seems to be more than the rural areas. Now, going forward, The technological innovation, when we are marking with Industry 4.0, robotics, automation, biotechnology, semiconductors, green energy are some of the major focus areas, and production linked incentive schemes can be a good way forward. In the telecom sector, we are trying to reduce the import dependence to by 60%, bring in more solar photovoltaic cells, battery storage, and sustainable solutions for energy. Also, the Western nations have been rapidly transforming from fossil fuel to the renewable forms of energy, and India is again one of those nations working forward. Now, if we focus on energy security, as we said, there has to be a transition, and this transition has to move from fossil fuels to other renewable sources of energy. The wealthier nations which rely that actually focus on subsidies, India has to have self-funding in the transition, with climate related spending rising from 3.7% to nearly 5.9%. And also there has been a proposed three-way partnership. Now, as India advances in artificial intelligence, IoT, or 3D printing, there have been inclusive growth strategies to reduce the job losses and ensure that labor is fully utilized. So labor intensive technological driven industries have to be expanded by all means in order to ensure that even after Industry 4.0, the labor has significant proportion in the society. The next is Make in India. Now, Make in India initiative has been implemented across 27 different sectors, in which manufacturing ranging from defense, automotive, chemicals, leather, food processing have been one of the series. Now, some of the major initiatives include the National Master Plan for Infrastructure, Industrial Park Rating, the National Single Window System, and to bring in institutional mechanism for project monitoring cells has been some of the important ideas. Now, another important consideration that we have been putting forward is what is called as fiscal federalism. Now, the budget has been structured around 4 key pillars, which include enhanced devolution of taxes, special assistance for capital expenditure, higher grants and aids, and higher borrowing ceilings to for the states. Now, with these schemes or the key pillars, we are trying to focus on the idea of fiscal federalism. There have been numerous central sponsored schemes which have been running to ensure that each of the sector gets proper budgetary allowances. For education, we have the Atal Tinkering Labs, industrial training institutes, the ITIs which have been established. There has been additional provision for 0.5% of gross state domestic product which has been introduced, and then highlighting the idea of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, addressing the imbalances in tax collection, which could be both vertical and including the ideas of fiscal transfer, tax devolution are some of the important areas that we must focus on. So, in terms of rural development, we would say the rural prosperity and resilience is really important. So, focusing on rural women, farmers, youth, and small landless families has been one of the major priorities, and should be ensuring that there is migration which is from the rural to the urban areas, which becomes a choice and not the necessity of the people dwelling in rural areas. So Jal Jeevan Mission is one such a scheme to have piped water to every household, and this focuses on Jan Bhagidari, which is public participation for household tap connections. Then focus on to the urban development, we have schemes like PM Swanidhi, Urban Challenge Fund, Social Security Scheme for online platform workers. In the field of education, Atal Tinkering Lab, as we said, establishment of ITIs, establishment of Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence for Education has been another important sector. Then boosting the growth through centrally sponsored schemes which focus mainly on innovation, infrastructure and connectivity. Under this, we have Udan 2.0 to improve air connectivity, Maritime Development Fund under the Sagarmala, shipbuilding financial assistance, focusing on modernizing the shipbuilding industries, also talking about increased borrowing for the improvement of the state finances, providing operative efficiencies for discoms in India. Now, some of the new schemes which have been introduced for farmers include Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Yojana, which is a newly introduced agri-district development program inspired by the aspirational district programs, and it aims to support nearly 1.7 crore farmers across 100 districts where productivity is low, the cropping intensity is low, and there is below average credit access. In those areas, this scheme would be proving beneficial. Then is Atmanirbharta in pulses, mainly Tuar, Urad and Masoor. Now, government has allocated a fund of nearly 1000 crores for this mission. The next is bringing in a comprehensive program for vegetable and fruits. This is in collaboration with the institutional framework involving farmer producer organizations. The mission for cotton productivity is a 5-year initiative aimed to enhance productivity and sustainability. Then ensuring sustainable development is really important, and the budget aims to bring in both competitive cooperative aspects for the same. The next is infrastructure development. In the recent budget, we have outlined nearly $30 trillion economy by 2047, and this focuses mainly on urban development, renewable and shipbuilding. So infrastructure is very important. Building national highways, rural roads, renewable energy is some of those. Now, introduction of a simplified tax structure was brought in 2017 under GST reforms, and further simplification of the GST has been expected. Now, the national highway have expanded by 60%, rural road connectivity by 99%, renewable energy has gone up by 47%, which are some of the very significant figures in Indian economy. Now, if we talk about the era of 2014 to 2024, which witnessed the COVID pandemic as well, there have been significant developments in some of the fronts. For example, the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, that is the rural road construction. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in the urban areas, specifically for low-income families. Then the post-COVID economic recovery has relied specifically on the ideas of infrastructure capital expenditure and strategic investments for ambitious goals. Now, infrastructure renaissance has been one of the basic ideas, specifically through major land breaking reforms in the field of construction and real estate. Now, Real Estate Regulation Development Act 2016 aims to bring in more transparency. With GST being brought, reduced logistic cost, we are trying to boost the supply chain efficiency. The major measures include the central tax rationalization, input tax credit and e-way bills, which would bring in better transparency and better smoothness in the system, right? Then experiencing the PM Gati Shakti, which is the infrastructure connectivity improvement program, is one such effort. Harmonized master list, which includes the vessels in the shipbuilding, which have been granting them the infrastructure status, and strengthening the shipbuilding industry is one such effort. Then a fund of nearly 25,000 crores towards Maritime Development Fund is another such initiative. So the Coastal Shipping Bill aims to establish a framework for coastal trade, remove restriction on Indian flagged vessels, bring in a national database for the shipping, and the Merchant Shipping Bill, which expands the ownership eligibility for NRIs and OCIs and the Indian registered companies with better flexible financing options. There is Bill of Lading Bill, which modernizes the shipping documentation by replacing the outdated colonial laws. So, three important laws that are very possible for your upcoming examination: Coastal Shipping Bill, Bills of Lading Bill, and then there is the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill. Another one important one is the Merchant Shipping Bill, right? So these are the four very important bills which have been part of the shipping sector. Now, coming on to the infrastructure investment. excuse me, there has been the idea of urban challenge fund with cities of growth hub, creation of cities, water and sanitation as some of the major efforts. Then we are also talking about public private partnership and port-led projects. Now this would focus on handling of the cargo, multimodal parks, and bringing in improvement with connectivity to the ports. Producing and consuming has been very important in an economy, and restructuring the new income tax regime to enhance consumption, bring in more spending into the market, and balancing the production for the same would be one way forward. So income tax reforms and income tax reduction has been another important effort in this line. There has been a special investigation team which probed into the black money in Swiss bank account. Now this tax reform commission, which was led by Dr. Parth Sarathy Shom, talked about the relevance of tax policies and laws which are considering the global tax practices. Now in 2015 there was the Wealth Tax Levy, which was the Wealth Tax Act of 1957, which was abolished. In 2016 equalization levy was introduced. Now a country by country reporting requirement was implemented to enforce base erosion and profit shifting measures. Now this is a presumptive tax system for professionals, and it was launched to declare the undisclosed income. There was also a fee which was introduced for taxpayers who file income tax returns after the due date. Now this was again a way through which we could bring in better transparency into the tax networking. Standard deduction for salaried individuals was reintroduced in 2018, but this was through a e-proceeding system. There has been an alternate tax regime on domestic companies which was introduced. TDS was implemented under section 194N. In 2020, faceless assessment scheme was introduced and faceless appeal scheme was also introduced. Vivad Se Vishwas was a scheme which was introduced to reduce the litigation and generate government revenue. Then there was a e-filing portal introduced in 2021. The virtual digital assets were introduced in 2022, and the updated return provision was also introduced in 2022. In 2023, the income tax rebate slab increased from 5 to 7 lakhs. Under the new tax regime in 24, angel tax were removed for all types of investors. Now this was a major thing that happened, and also the harbor rates were introduced for foreign mining companies who were selling the raw diamonds in India. The next was in 2025, the income tax limit was increased up to 12 lakhs and even 12.75 lakhs for salaried individuals, which was a significant figure. Now talking on to the personal income tax reforms with a special focus onto the middle class, encouraging voluntary compliance, rationalizing the TDS, reducing compliance burdens are some of the important aspects. Coming on to GST and reducing the logistic cost. GST reduced the logistic cost by eliminating any border delays across the states, improving travel efficiency, and India's ranking in the World Bank Logistic Performance Index improved significantly from 44th to 38th. Now modernization and digitalization was also included. The next is green budgeting or green allocation. Under the Kusum scheme, Nuclear Mission and Urban Challenge Fund, as already discussed, we had a significant focus on clean technology and also boosting circular economy in India. Focusing on climate resilient farming practices and greener economy has been some of the major ideas. Now this policy focuses on 10% budgetary allowance which has been increased for green sectors, specifically for policy and governance for new and renewable sources of energy. Then there has been a good focus on distributing solar energy. Now the solar segment and the solar development through the PM Surya Graha Muft Bijli Yojana, which was launched in 24, we are providing nearly 300 units of free solar generated electricity, which has installation average of nearly 70,000 installations per month. Also lithium ion manufacturing, which is a key component for phone batteries, has been added to the list of exempted capital goods, and this would boost the mobile phone and electric vehicle sectors in India. There has been an exemption on battery scrap, zinc, and 12 other minerals would be supporting the industry. The next is clean energy production. Now, clean energy production aims to strengthen the domestic clean technology and manufacturing, reduce the dependence on any kind of imported materials for climate technologies. The next one is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy, we already talked about the small modular reactors in India to be established, 5 indigenously by 2033. Then there is an idea to provide continuous power without requiring storage. Now this presents a very important case for scaling up the atomic energy capacities in India. Mobility, electric vehicles, another way of bringing in energy security. Prioritizing electric vehicles and boosting the domestic manufacturing on electric vehicles is important. So removal of basic custom duties on material like cobalt, lithium ion, lead, zinc is actually a way to reduce the cost for the EV production and would boost the EV production sector in India. The next is the recycling. Recycling is another effective way to reduce the energy consumption by nearly 11%, and circular economy plays an important role. Focusing on agriculture, reducing the farmers' income by a special focus on the climate change. So climate change had been detrimental for farmers' income, and bringing in ways through which climate resilient agriculture can be brought is important. Also, there has been a mission on high yielding variety of seeds aiming to bring in development in the agricultural sector. Besides that, clean water, sustained fishery in the coastal area are another such initiatives. Critical minerals, we already said, exempting them, reducing the import duties on them could be a way to develop EV industries at a better pace in India. So nuclear mission, urban development fund are some of the important ideas. And then some of the other important schemes for boosting solar energy, as we said, PM Surya Ghar, Muft Bijli Yojana, then Kusum scheme, production incentive schemes, solar energy storage at household level, renewable energy for battery storage, solar electrification in rural areas, the photovoltaic cell production in India to be expanded are some of the ways through which we can focus on bringing in more development in the solar energy sector. Next, coming on to is the gender budgeting. Now, gender budgeting, the idea is to narrow the gender gap, empower women in the economic sector, and reduce the societal barrier. So integrating gender specific issues which relate to fiscal policies and financial management processes have been very important to address inequalities and promote empowerment. So if we talk about the World Bank report 2023, women constitute 48% of the population, which is compared to the global average a little less, which is 49%. But along with men, women have an important role in economic growth. However, there have been discrimination and exploitation in various economic schemes which needs to be highlighted. Now, gender budgeting is one of the powerful tools which has been utilized by the government to reduce the disparity and empower women by allocating funds to various schemes. Now, Australia was the first country to adopt the gender budgeting in 1984. Then it was Canada, Philippines, and South Africa. The attention has gained focus on the specific concerns within the fiscal policy and the financial management systems to promote gender equality for better development and better social development. So under 23-24, gender budgetary allocations were categorized under two parts. Part A, which focused on the women-centric schemes with 100% allocation to women and girls. Part B, which was pro-women schemes with 30% allocation for women and girls. And Part C, which was the scheme for allocating less than 30% of the fund towards women and girls. Now, these were the categories under which the gender budgeting was done. There have been changing trends which we have noticed, and it is believed that nearly 3% of the union budget fund goes for gender budgeting and gender related schemes, right? Now, there have been various departments which have been benefiting from it, which ranges from food processing, animal husbandry, finance, land revenue, water resource, Ganga rejuvenation, shipping, and railways. Now, this once have been highlighted. We are trying to enhance the involvement of women in the economy, and significant allocations have been made under Part A of the gender budget, as we discussed. This accounts for nearly 23% of the total allocations which have been done for gender budgeting. Women Drone Didi is one such important scheme. Then you have National Livelihood Mission, asset ownership under the PM Awas Yojana for urban areas, LPG cylinder under the Ujjwala Yojana. Then focusing on the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairy, there has been significant allocations for women. However, there are allocations under Part C, which is less than 30% women allocated funds, which have also increased by 12% in the last years. But these funds mainly go to Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana and Department of Water and Irrigation. Now, as we have seen, these allocations have been an important way to bring in gender equality in the society. The next is comprehensive simplification. So, Income Tax Bill 2025 was introduced, and it focused on bringing in more clarity, improved understanding, maintaining the existing tax policies with better stability, and keeping the tax rate unchanged for to provide predictability for the taxpayers, simplifying the language, eliminating the redundant provisions, and bringing in better sections for easy content reference, right? Those have been some of the major ideas under the income tax bill which was introduced in 2025. Now, the impact which we have seen is significant reduction in the size of the act, making it more concise and easy to understand and navigate. Under the qualitative improvements, we have seen the language is simplified, the amendments are consolidated, the obsolete provisions are removed, there have been structural adjustments which have been done, the taxation principles have been retained. Also, what we focus on is reducing the violence against women. So, National Commission on Women talks about policy reforms and awareness campaigns. There have been various strategies to address the issue. STEM fields and digital economies can actually serve as an effective deterrent for bringing in the financial independence and women participation. Now, focusing on gender responsive disaster policies, specifically in the conflict prone areas, is again important. Focusing on the gender based violence in the conflict affected region is one of the major things that government has been focusing on. Now, this talks about the POSCO Act, domestic violence, trafficking, and safeguarding vulnerable women and children in crisis. The next is strengthening the legal framework. Now, under this, we have the key laws like Protection of Women from Domestic Violence 2005, the Harassment at Workplace, bringing in Internal Compliance Committee, Nirbhay Act, Dowry Prevention Act are some of the important ones, and then POSCO. Now, fast track courts can actually resolve the cases at a very fast pace. There have been community based support systems which include one stop central schemes, women helpline like 181 as some of the major improvements that have been seen. Also, equipping crisis intervention for mental, psychological, and social support, bringing in education for women, and changing the mindset for the population is another important aspect. Economic empowerment can be one good shield against violence. So, empowering nearly 2 crore self-help group women as Lakhpati entrepreneurs has been one such idea. Addressing the cyber violence against women, that is the cyber safety for women, that introduces the Digital Shakti program. Strengthening the gender based discrimination, reducing what the gender based discrimination is, and combating the violence is again one of the major ideas. So there have been safe city projects, GPS tracking, emergency response buttons, enhanced passenger safeties, bringing in more cooperative social responsibility funds, which could be established, which could go for establishing one-stop centers, medical psychological support. And then there are new criminal laws which focuses on criminal penalties under certain offenses. There is a SheBox, which is a complaint management system. Now this has online platform and online access. Call for collective action for collaborating with government bodies and civic societies. Investment as one of the major ideas for economic growth, bringing in the major sectors of agriculture, small and medium industries and exports under its head. Now some of the schemes we have already focused on, bringing in investment as the third engine of development with three key pillars: investing in people, investing in economy, investing in innovation, has been some of the major ideas of development. Now under the idea of investing in people, there has been a significant growth in artificial intelligence sectors and budgetary allowances for the same. There are 5 national centers for excellence in skilling which have been developed. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.2 has been developed. Then Swanati scheme, gig workers and the PM Jan Arogya Yojana to be extended to nearly 1 crore gig workers, bringing in investments in economy. So government has allocated nearly 1.5 lakh crores in 50 years interest-free loans for capital expenditure and reform initiatives, which is again very, very important. Then there is a special scheme which is the Swami scheme, that is a special window for affordable and mid-income housing. Government launches this to provide budget for completion of nearly 1 lakh pending housing units which are there. Jal Jeevan Mission, as we already talked about. Then shipbuilding financial assistance, Udan scheme. Mining reforms to include the state mining index and the PM Gati Shakti Yojana is again an important initiative. Now if we focus on the Vision 2047, as we did in the beginning, the key priorities are education, health, skill development, infrastructure and innovation, bringing in holistic development, reducing poverty, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, and Vishwa Manav model, which would be one of the guiding models as an example for global community to be taken into account. Now under the new education policy 2020, we are bringing in innovative teaching methods, improving the rural education ideas, fostering the development in the rural areas for education, bringing in digital literacy, talking about the Nipun Bharat mission, strengthening India's human capital, in the early ages of childhood development, focusing on cognitive, emotional and social development of the child are some of the important aspects which have been covered under the new education policy. The outcomes have been very, very important with clear target, innovative pedagogies and teacher training. Now some of the important important trends includes key routes under the pre-primary enrollment, Anganwadi, which are the early areas of development to be strengthened, school infrastructure, and bringing in progress in the major states. For example, Uttar Pradesh has brought in significant improvement in literacy in last 20 years. Madhya Pradesh, there has been a significant improvement in literacy and numeracy, and even electrification in the school reaching to 90%. The next important sector that we would focus on is agriculture, bringing in rural prosperity, comprehensive program for vegetable development, and Grameen credit score are some of the important ideas which government has been working forward with better warehousing facility, better productivity and diverse income opportunities for the farmers. Also bringing in programs for Grameen credit score that talks about addressing the credit requirement of the self-help group members and the rural community, and the agriculture employs nearly 48% of the population. So bringing in Kisan credit card scheme is another such initiative. Modified interest subvention scheme, which increases the loan from 3 lakh to 5 lakh, and collateral free loan up to 1.6 lakh for animal husbandry, dairy and fishing have been provided. So those were some of the key things that we have developed under this, that we have studied under this edition. This has been a very important edition, specifically the developments under the shipping rules and the various bills. The bill of lading bill, very important. So those are some of the key things. The handout for the same would be available on Exam-Race Current Affairs, so don't miss that. Wish you all the best. Thanks for joining in. Have a wonderful day.